All right, welcome to this episode of the RLM podcast. I'm your host, Eli Detter, and joining me in the studio today is 10th grade principal at Hempfield High School, Mr. Conrad. Mr. Conrad, thank you for joining us today.
What's up, Eli? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself, kind of who you are, what you do, and all that stuff.
All right. Yeah, I'm Mr. Patrick Conrad. I'm the grade 10 principal here at Hempfield High School. This is my second year here, although you and I go way back
Right,
to the LMS days. But I was the Dean of Students at LMS for 4 years previous to this. One thing that people don't know is I spent most of my career, over 30 years, most of my career has been spent at the high school.
Oh, really?
So that transition to the high school has been a welcome one. But knowing half the student body already, it's kind of unique situation in doing that, but also many of them getting to know that I was actually used to being in the high school.
Right.
So they knew me from the middle school. But proud to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do want to comment though, I was thinking about this when you asked me about the interview. I'm so proud of you and the resources that you're using and taking advantage of here at the high school. I've listened to some of the podcasts previously, and you've done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
You are to be commended for that. This is awesome.
I tried to. It was something new, and I tried my best to figure out how to make it all work. So I'm glad it's starting to come together a lot better than it was before.
That's good. That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, of course, I know you, obviously from middle school and now at the high school. But I know you said that you have done obviously other stuff than always being a teacher and a principal. What was some of the other cool stuff that you've done?
Just going back. My career, I taught government and economics and U.S. American history, and then also created a course, U.S. military history. I taught at Redline for 20 years.
Oh, nice.
So the majority of my career was spent there. Now, I did have some middle school experience when I first started out of college, teaching American history, geography at the middle school level. But doing all that.
Yeah.
And then I came here to Hempfield over at Landisville Middle School as the Dean of Students. And as I said, last 2 years here as grade 10 principal. So that's kind of my educational background. Were you looking for...
I want to know.
All the other ins and outs.
I want to know what else happened other than the educational stuff.
I've always coached football. In fact, the last 2 years are the only 2 years since I graduated college that I did not coach. I spent 10 years as a high school head coach. I was also coached at F&M, Franklin and Marshall College for 5 years.
Oh, nice.
So I've always been around football and coached that. What else? You want to get personal and all those things?
What led you from when you graduated high school, what career were you thinking about? What careers were you leaning into and kind of figuring out where you wanted to go?
Interesting. I'm very blessed. I have 2 great parents. My parents were divorced growing up, and I lived with my dad. My dad was a teacher and a coach and athletic director, and you see the pattern there, and actually an assistant principal. He's now retired, but I grew up in a school, kind of being a teacher and coach's son. Literally learned to walk in the hallways and just being around it all the time. But my mom is, she's retired as well, but she's a healthcare nurse specialized consultant. She ran her own company. She has spoken to governments all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Incredible lady with leadership and everything that she's providing in the nursing community. But when I went to college, I actually was going to go on to law school. I went to Dickinson College in Carlisle. Um, had plans of being a lawyer. I didn't know what type of lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then about my junior year, um, I guess that's when you kind of your eyes open up
Yeah.
and you're like, oh wow, this is
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Type
Yeah.
thing. Um, and I just wanted to keep my options open. And I also, besides being a political science major, got my secondary teaching certification and kind of went that route. And after graduation, was afforded the opportunity to teach and coach,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just
Yeah.
fell into that life.
Yeah. That's pretty. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Your mom sounds very impressive.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
both my parents, they do
Yeah.
very accomplished careers and
Yeah.
good role models for myself.
Were there any, I don't know, any setbacks, any uh, uncertain moments that you were like, honestly, you just weren't sure where your career was headed or where you're gonna end up?
I think early on, I mean, anyone that you're even speaking now to high school
Right.
graduates. You're excited about that date in
Yeah.
May and your graduation, but what comes after that next day?
Right. Right.
And you may have all the best intentions and plans
Right.
laid out,
Yeah.
but there's still that apprehension of moving on and
Right.
doing something new
Right.
and stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think when in my early 20s, when I first started out teaching, I was a long-term sub for a year.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good, great experience, but it wasn't that permanent position. I
Right.
didn't get that until
Right.
the next year, and just getting your feet on the ground,
Yeah.
and getting comfortable with what you wanted to
Right.
do. A lot of people. It's interesting when you talk to people outside of the educational community.
Yeah.
They don't really know. It's not. You're not just a teacher. You're not just a principal. Like, this is who I am.
Right. Right.
If and your classmates and other classmates throughout the different grade levels, they send me messages at night.
Mhm.
I'm still the president. It's like you're
Yeah.
on 24/7. So
Yeah.
it's like who I am,
Right.
not just what you do.
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a very important thing to keep in mind for anyone who ever wants to start something, who either goes into something new or they start doing something like, that's not necessarily, the world doesn't always see who you are under, if you're a popular or popular is not the right word. If you're a famous politician, right, the world is not always going to see the person you are when the lights aren't on you, when you're not up on the stage with a microphone in front of you. The world's mainly going to focus on who you are, talking to other people and all that stuff. So it's almost like it's not necessarily who you are underneath all that. It's what you do that essentially defines, that people are going to define you. You might not define yourself as,
Yeah.
Like if people ask me who I am, the first thing I would say is probably not that I'm a podcast host. I would say, I am this instead of that.
Yeah, and as you get older and you start to identify in
Yeah.
certain roles
Yeah.
and things, then that's what you
Right. Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I remember you saying, I don't know, you had posted something in middle school about like some crazy thing that you had done or crazy experience that you've had. What? Just like.
I don't know what that might have been. I've had a lot of crazy experiences. I've lived a very blessed life. I can say that. I have always lived life to the fullest. I like to travel. Just this past summer, and when I travel, as a family now, we don't just go for
Right.
the weekend.
Yeah.
We do that stuff.
Yeah.
But last year we spent 2 weeks in Paris,
Oh, nice.
Normandy area,
Wow.
and so
Yeah.
we do it up.
Yeah. Do the whole thing.
3 years ago we flew to San Diego and then took a 20-day road trip all over
Oh,
California.
nice.
So,
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So Yeah, I like to travel. I don't know what the crazy thing I would have
I
put
don't
down
I don't
first.
know. It was when you were trying to guess. It was like fun facts about a teacher when you were trying to guess
Ah,
who it was or whatever.
I I've taken trips cross country. I've been an extra in movies.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
And
I
any
like
movies that we would recognize?
Girl Interrupted. Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder. I actually had lunch with Angelina
Oh
Jolie.
wow.
Yeah, she
That's pretty
sat
crazy.
diagonal. Yeah, very down to earth, very outgoing. Um, yeah, that was years ago. That was a little late in the '90s. Yeah.
I know if that I if I had the experience, I'd wear that on my shirt like a
Oh my.
badge.
No.
Be like, yep,
No.
I had lunch with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. She would have no idea who I am.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but no, I don't know what would have been crazy. Yeah, just like traveling
Yeah.
and doing a lot of
I
fun stuff.
That is the one thing that like whatever job I do, I want it to be a job where I get to travel, get
Yeah.
paid to travel. That'd be awesome.
I just like seeing what's out there,
Right,
meeting
yeah.
different
Yeah.
people, and just experiencing what the world has to offer.
Right. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you what throughout. Obviously, I mean, you've had a very varying career. Obviously, you've done a lot of different things. What's like the biggest lesson that you've learned when it comes to knowing what you want to do or knowing what you want to become and figuring out how to get there? What's like the biggest lesson that you've learned from that?
I think a couple things. Set your standards high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a person, and in my career, and like I said, like that's who I am.
Mhm.
It's kind of like as a grade 10 principal, that's my identity.
Right,
really.
right.
But you have to embrace that. But then also like set standards high so that your expectations are high, and
Right,
don't be
right.
afraid of that.
Yeah.
A leader, a role model of mine that I had going through my career, once said like set the bar high.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you can't see this, but if you like raise way above your head, you
Yeah.
might not get there.
Right.
You may fail, and that's okay. But by setting the bar high, you can still achieve
Right. Right.
greatness, and that's. I think a lot of people sell themselves short,
Yeah.
and don't look to that.
Right.
And I think all of us collectively just do your best and have high expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like you said, a lot of people tend to shy away from setting their expectations too high because I mean, I've probably said this countless times, but a lot of people tend to get afraid of I might fail, so why should I even try to go for something so extraordinarily above what I usually do? And it's almost like, honestly, because you might fail, that's where I'm like, yeah, you might fail. You probably will.
Mhm.
I mean, at least once or twice, you're probably not going to, achieve exactly what you wanted or exactly what you expected. But I think even and I think failure is such an overused word, but for lack of a better word, even in the failure, I think you learn a little bit, you succeed a little bit because
Exactly.
you learn, I mean, of course you can choose not to learn anything and you can just choose to keep doing the same thing. But for someone who's truly dedicated to, becoming something, you learn what you're doing, you learn what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what works and what doesn't, and then you can properly adjust and tailor what you're trying to become to that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, failure. I don't know. A lot of people will assume it's a bad word.
Right.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. That's how you correct mistakes and move on.
Yeah.
and grow from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing. And if you don't try and you don't put yourself out there,
Yeah.
I think. And this might go back to your original question. Part of, I guess, one of my biggest disappointments as an educator, as a principal, as a coach, teacher, is seeing students or players, young men and women who just don't believe in themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And it's frustrating that myself in my role or varied roles believes more in them and what they can do than what they do.
Yeah.
So then they're, like you said, they're reluctant to put themselves out there. They're reluctant to aim high.
Right.
And again, that comfort level back to the beginning. It's all right to push outside your comfort level because you'll be a much better person for it in whatever area you're in.
Absolutely. And I would say it hurts even worse when you see them, like you see those, those moments where they're doing everything like almost right to the book. I mean, they're doing it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then they just stop and you're like, well, why'd you stop?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I didn't feel the need to keep going. I'm like, it's just like, I feel like once you start going down that path where you've got the hang of things, you're doing what you need to be doing. Once you stop, it's significantly harder to get back on track because, I mean, like they said, the grass seems green on the other side. Grass seems greener where, you can put a little bit of effort in, get as far as you need to go, but not necessarily as far as you would want to go or whatever.
Yeah, and it's always important to have that mindset of perpetual growth.
Yeah.
Like, how can we make it better? How can we, improve in any way?
Yeah. I mean, it's like to use this podcast as a reference, when I started it, I was just like, it's something fun, I guess I can do.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I'm going to mess around with it and have fun with it. And then we started, and I started to even then, I was like, I have a pretty good ability to do it. I figured I know my way around social media enough that I know how to make it something that, is out there in the world and is public and stuff like that. But I mean, even now when it's starting to, everything's starting to come together, I'm still like, how can I make it even better? How can I expand my horizons even more? So it's, because I was just like, if I were to turn this into something even better, like in the Air Force as a career doing, photography and broadcasting and stuff like this, like, I mean, that would skyrocket where I wanted to go, and that'd be awesome.
I mean, it's unlimited of what you want to take it with.
It's important that, especially people my age, people my generation, we tend to, obviously, I mean, we're in the perfect market that all those people are like, oh my gosh, you can make all this money with doing this.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And we're their perfect market because we're at that spot where we're in the, we're like, well, we want that comfort of money. We want that comfort of having something reliable, like, if all I have to do is this one thing every day and I'll get this amount of money. And that's comforting to some people.
Yeah.
And I suppose, for some people that works. I mean, for some people that's they live their life off of that. And that's fine for that person, right? I mean, it's not for anyone in anyone's position to judge that, but it's also, I don't ever want to be given everything.
Yeah, Oh, you got to work for it and earn it. And I think that's the important thing to get, like you said, people your generation, I oftentimes chuckle with like all the little the clicks and the likes and the social media and sometimes I get requests from students. I just had one today. Can you sign the dance permission form? And it's like they expect it right away. And it's like there's other things going on and stuff. And you're happy to oblige all that and take care of that. But your generation certainly is used to everything right at the click of your fingers and all that.
I mean, I'm fully guilty of that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I post a video and I'm looking. I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to watch it.
I am not what they call a digital native, like your generation. Right. I am a digital immigrant, but I'm like that. I can be impatient, but like just society in general. Looking at how, and this goes, like, we can go back to the very beginning, like setting goals, setting high expectations, and then building towards that. You know, it's not just you're not just going to graduate college and be at like point X in your life and say, hey, this is it. Everything's a winding path and up and downhill, and there's a lot of terrain to cover throughout that. So in doing that, you just have to, like we both said, that positive growth mindset,
Yeah.
and continuing to look at the best, and yeah, some of those, that terrain may stumble
Right.
and fall,
Right.
but get back up and
Yeah.
continue to press on and learn from
Yeah.
what caused you to
Right.
fall, and
Yeah.
and how can you
Yeah.
make it better.
Yeah. Not everyone always looks at the situation as where did I fall there. I mean, I I used to do this all the time where I'd be like, who messed up? Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't me.
wasn't me.
Who else did
And
it?
that's the other thing, and that takes maturity and
Yeah.
growth, and just a lot of self-awareness.
Right. Yeah. You can't allow yourself. You can't necessarily, like I said. I don't know, remember who I said this to. Maybe it was Dr. Brossman. I was like, you can't allow yourself to take all the blame, all the responsibility for everything that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that just they're not. You can't control the weather. It's
Yeah,
just gonna
and
happen.
I look at it in a leadership position. I always take this approach. When things are going well, when things are working out the way they're supposed to, then all the credit goes to everyone else.
Right.
It goes to the secretaries, the custodians,
Right.
the counselors, the teachers, the students,
Yeah.
everyone that played a role in that. When things don't go well, when there are mistakes or concerns, issues, then it's on me. And like we've been saying, you look to fix those mistakes, but you take ownership and responsibility and make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and now well, like you said, it's always important to you see the mistakes, you figure out in your mind how to fix it. I know that I myself have always been the guy who's like, I see the problem, I immediately want to fix, I immediately want to make it go away. Not because I don't I don't love conflict, I want to make people happy, but also I guess that's one situation where I'm over eager. I'm like, I want to fix this immediately, I want to fix it now. And then I tend to rush into it, and then it doesn't always make everyone happy. Someone's like, well, this thing gets solved. I'm like, wow, I didn't even, my mind was so focused on that problem because that problem seems so big to me. And even if it might have been a major one, I didn't even think to, look below that and figure everything else out before I started charging in.
Yeah, and I think no matter what career path you or your listeners choose, that's always important. Another great advice I got from a mentor was, go slow to go fast.
Yeah.
I haven't always adhered to that advice. I like to get things done and do that, but you have to make sure when you're, completing tasks that you're also like not just completing tasks, but completing tasks completely.
Right.
So that they're not coming back around.
Yeah.
That's always important.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, that expression, go left to go right. Everyone thinks that the path to greatness or success is it's a straight shot. In reality, it's not. Sometimes you are going it feels like the completely opposite way, and it's really just you can't see. You don't see the curve that's about to go up and put you right back on track. So it's always important to keep your eyes open, pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to where the people in your life are leading you. Some people have achieved greatness all by themselves, and they just they worked hard. Maybe they were given very little resources, but they used whatever they could, and they managed to get themselves in those positions where we look at them now and it's like it's almost amazing. It's like how in the heck did you get yourself there without anyone really in your corner or anything? It's impressive what the human mind can do when we're just set to a task.
Yeah, and if students and people just sometimes got out of their own way and believed what they could do, it's unlimited.
Yeah,
the possibilities that they could do.
Yeah, most of the time we're usually the person that's keeping us from achieving what we really want to achieve, but we end up blaming other people or other things for it.
Yeah, and and that's part of maturity and growing up. One thing that I do tell students, oftentimes I'll have meetings with students and parents, and as they're transitioning from 10th grade and looking at 11th grade, and you're looking at the possibilities of what happens after graduation, going to college and all that, and preparation for that. We live in a world now where, like, don't just go get a job just to do the job.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you love doing, if you love swimming with dolphins,
there's a job for that.
Go swim with dolphins. If you like snowboarding or like whatever fun things, whatever gets you out of bed in the morning, excited about life, find a way to make a living doing that.
Yeah.
I once had a student that now works for Disney and Pixar, and he loved doing animation, and he pursued that and followed his dreams, and it's rewarding to see that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know how many people, and I don't want to disrespect any jobs out there, but like, how many people wake up and say, "Oh, I want to go work at a fast food restaurant," right? Like, granted, you need those people, and that's part of the workforce.
Right.
But go out and, like, push yourself and press yourself forward to go do, like, whatever dreams that you want to do.
It's almost highly unlikely that there is not a job for what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe 50 years ago there wasn't, and it was limited to the more basic jobs, and then obviously more jobs kept opening up, and now it's almost where we're in a spot, like, anything you really want to do, there is more than likely a version of that that you can do.
Yeah, and I know there are limits on things, and a lot of young boys want to grow up and be like an NBA player or an NFL, like that. The reality of that, you're not having that skill set. Only like less than 1% ever actually can do that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, I don't know, you like being around Major League Baseball.
Right.
Okay. Right. Well, go get a job in a Major League Baseball stadium,
Yeah.
working for a major. Like, there are all kinds of, whether it be social media or administrative positions, scheduling, and marketing, like all kinds of things that you can do that still puts you in that arena, type of thing. If you like, I don't know, like television or something, then there are all kinds of jobs. Stop the TV when the credits are rolling sometime and check out all those jobs. So it just kind of whatever you like to do, whatever you're passionate about, then make sure that becomes a career for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny, actually. I got a fortune last night from we got a Chinese takeout, and I got this fortune, and my mom had opened it. She gave it to me, and it said there are dreamers and there are achievers in this world, and the only thing that divides the two is action. And that actually, I mean, that applies to countless number of people. But I felt that person. I was like, because for a very long time, I was a dreamer.
Yeah.
I am still kind of a dreamer. I dream, all these big things I want to be.
I think you have to think it before you can do it. So
right.
I'm that way too. But
yeah, you got to dream it, and then you got to achieve. You
got to plan it out, and then take it from there.
Yeah.
Interesting. My family got Chinese takeout last night too.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's just, it's never, like, I've always been that person who dreamed of, I want to be this, like, there's so many things I want to become, I want to become, and it's important that I never allow myself to just keep saying it without ever doing it. Like, if I keep saying I want to, be a photographer, I need to get a camera. I need to start taking pictures. I need to start doing that stuff.
Find the resources to move forward.
And I finally started being able, I finally found myself in the spot in my life where I'm able to just, I can go out, I can figure out, hey, what's a way I can expand, whether it's being a photographer or writing stories or whatever. And obviously this podcast was one way that I was able to get that creative channel out, but it's important to keep being able to expand yourself no matter where you are.
Yeah, definitely. I think you the path that you're on and using the resources available to you are a lesson for everyone.
Yeah.
And there are so many resources out there. Maybe depending on what students want to get into, if it's not here at school, there are people here at school that can lead you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's so much out there to be able to help students move forward.
Yeah. Never. I don't think the school has ever had a problem with kids not being able to do something that they really had an ambition for and aspired for. So
yeah, and if you can imagine it, and want to put yourself out there and take that risk, and we'll help out in any way we possibly can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for making an appearance on this podcast. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate this is a great setup, and you're doing a great job.
Yeah, thank you. For everyone listening, of course, you can find this podcast on multiple different channels: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, to name a few. We want to make sure that you always keep in mind that while we do speak of many different things on this podcast, whether it's personal, mental health awareness, self-improvement, whatever, of course, we're not experts on everything, but we do speak from experience. I know trying to find anyone who I think has experience in this stuff. Mr. Conrad, of course, here he's done a lot in his life.
Are you saying I'm old, Eli? Nah, come on now. Yeah, no, I have some experience.
It's never a wrong time to put experience to good use. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening, and we all hope that you have a wonderful day.